standing our ground, here it goes down. Oh, you and me, we're gonna be legendary. Oh, wait and see, we're gonna be legendary. Ain't no time like the here and now. Yeah, we showed up, now we showing up. Oh, you and me, we're gonna be legendary. Legendary. We're gonna be legendary. Raise up a white flag. Didn't come this far just to turn back. The curtains fall for the last act. Breaking that levee, breaking that levee. We don't back down. This is what we're made of. Standing our ground, here it goes down. Oh, you and me, we're gonna be legendary. Oh, wait and see, we're gonna be legendary. Ain't no time like the here and now. Yeah, we showed up, now we showing up. Oh, you and me, we're gonna be legendary. Legendary. We're gonna be legendary. We don't back down. This is what we're made of. Standing our ground, here it goes down. Oh, you and me, we're gonna be legendary. Oh, wait and see, we're gonna be legendary. Ain't no time like the here and now. Yeah, we showed up, now we showing up. Oh, you and me, we're gonna be legendary. Legendary. We're gonna be legendary. Legendary. We're gonna be legendary.
I got metal running through my bones, a resurrection like a ghost. Hurricane, go ahead and blow. Where you could keep your white flag, I'll never fold. A shadow on the battlefield, a survivor never yield. A thunder, go ahead and shake. Don't run from the storm when I feel the rain. There's no rest for the wicked, no victory for the weak. And when the weeds getting thicker, you'll never see me on my knees. You can't control this, it's explosive. You can't control this, it's explosive. You can't control this, it's explosive. I got a fever in my blood, a falling embers from above. I feel the heat when the pressure blows, a wildfire that you can't control. There's no rest for the wicked, no victory for the weak. And when the weeds getting thicker, you'll never see me on my knees. You can't control this, it's explosive. You can't control this, it's explosive. You can't control this, it's explosive. With every beat of my heart, I'll be the light in the dark. You can't control this, I'm explosive.
Good evening, ladies and gentlemen, and welcome back to LSRTV's coverage of the FTSR Sim Racing Points Truck Series here from the Heartland in Kansas City, Kansas at the Kansas Speedway. A lot of Kansas being said right there. Should be an interesting race here tonight on the mile and a half that opened up back in 2001. And we're ready to go for race number 12 of 13. Only 2 races remain with tonight and Darlington next week, in which will conclude the 2024A schedule. I'm Jason Rockfeld, joined alongside me with Wesley Outland, who will be here shortly, and also Charles Wooten in the production booth with me as well. And it should be a very, very interesting race here this evening from Kansas. Let's take a look real quick here at the Hunt the Front TV race analysis here tonight. And it is not accurate, being told at the time, so keep in mind with some of that. So no faster pair tonight, 100% fuel load, so you're looking at around 45 to 47 laps on a tank of fuel, and 4 sets of tires total here tonight. 2 green-white checkered attempts if need be. It might be 3, I'm not too sure. And the stages will be 25, 55, and Charles is literally updating this as I'm saying this, like usual, Charles. That's why we love you. 25, 55 laps for the stages, and then we will go all the way to lap 134. So it should make for a very interesting race. Here's your Kaufman created weather conditions on the track here tonight. Currently mostly cloudy. Yeah, pretty much Texas weather, like Charles Wooten says in my ear. But remember, this race will not start pretty much in the daytime. It will start right around dusk, and then it will slowly fade into the night with the ambient air temperature being 70 degrees. Wind speed at 12 could affect these trucks just a tad little bit. And the track temperature, perfect night for racing at 73 degrees. So it should be a good one. Getting ready to qualify here as we're getting set here tonight. And you see everybody on track that's about to come out here. I believe Ben Tracy was the one who held the fastest position in practice, and it should be a good one coming up here in just a second, waiting for trucks to come on to the pit road, or off pit road. Here he is. There's Ben Tracy, driver the number 35 machine, hitting the racetrack right now. Other drivers out there like Joe Flanagan, J.P. Burns, Grassi, Solari, Bliss, and others. And this is a very interesting qualifying session for sure. Ran a couple C-Fix races last night, so you really want to try to just kind of coast around, run that bottom side if you really want to when you're getting up to speed, coming to the green flag for your first lap. And you want to throw away your first lap. You're going to see a lot of guys running that bottom side here on their out lap. But on this first lap, drivers will go up to the top side to build up as much speed as possible, ride the top in 1 and 2, and then ride the top as well in 3 and 4. And when you come off the corner, you want to dive it down, obviously, onto that apron. Make sure you hit the center of the apex perfectly, so then you can come up to the wall, or about a truck width off the wall. Dive it down into the corner, full throttle. Let the thing rip the bottom. Exit middle of the corner off 2. Down the back straightaway, stay about half a truck width off the wall. Dive it back down into 3 full throttle. Stay down there. Exit middle. And then once you get pointed out off turn number 4, you'll see drivers starting to go down below that apron to try and cut the time difference. Jake Euler, and there's Sherwood Williford, and that 33 Chevy Rock and Roll 400 Kevin Harvick Richmond scheme from 2001. Always supporting that truck. Great looking truck Sherwood always brings to the racetrack week in and week out. Had a good finish here back in 2023C. Finished inside the top 5 after starting 11th. So a great run for Sherwood. He knows how to get it done here, but keep in mind only 20 trucks ran that race 1 year ago compared to the 2023A race that had 30 trucks entered in for that race. So it should be an interesting one coming up. And you see everybody now still running around the racetrack, qualifying here with 2.5 minutes remaining. Sherwood Williford currently sitting 15th up on the board right now with a 30.571. James Mullins holds the pole position right now with a 30.302 in the number 60 machine. And keep in mind, The points are really, really tight. And look at this. Here is your 2024 B schedule. We'll start up at Charlotte on May 27th, which should be a very, very fun race for sure. Charlotte's always a great race for the trucks. Then we will head to Gateway, Sonoma, Iowa, which was an absolute barn burner last year, New Hampshire, Nashville Superspeedway, which was also an interesting one, Chicagoland, which is always a fun track for these drivers. Then they will head to Pocono on July 15th, Indianapolis Auto Club, which is always a great show, Talladega, Richmond, and Michigan to conclude the 2024 B schedule for the Cup Series. Here's your Truck Series schedule: Charlotte, Gateway, Kentucky, Iowa, New Hampshire, Nashville, Chicagoland, Pocono. Then they'll head to Lucas Oil, Auto Club, Talladega, Richmond, and Michigan. So a few different shakeups there with those schedules. So it should be an interesting one, and only one stage break starting up here for 2024B for both the Cup and Truck Series, and it should be a very interesting one for sure. And I believe we got somebody who has hopped up into the booth with us here tonight. Mr. Wesley Outland has joined us here. Good night, or good night. Good afternoon, my friend.
Good evening. How are you, my friend? Obviously, sorry, I was having trouble trying to get a table out of a car, so unloading my equipment. But yeah, man, we're ready to go here. And gotta love Kansas Speedway. Kansas is always fun. We had an exciting race. Obviously, I saw the highlights the other night of the Cup event where we'll be, or this past week where you guys were at Dover, and obviously last week we were at Dover and a totally different racetrack in itself. But we're going to see what happens here at Kansas tonight. You know, you think of the word precision banking, Jason, and for sure we're going to see these guys transition 2 and 3, maybe even 4 wide if they're brave enough. It should be an exciting race, bud. Ready to go for the full throttle series.
And it should be an interesting one for sure. And Wesley is absolutely correct. That 17 to 20 degrees of progressive banking from 1 and 2 to 3 and 4 should make it for an interesting race. What lane's going to be the preferred one? Might be the high side, but we'll have to find out. Cars and trucks, rather, are gritting on pit road. And here we go to start the field up. Row number 1, second in the points. Needs a good night if he wants to close it on Ryan Chapman. That would be James Mullins, who takes the pole position here tonight alongside J.P. Burns in the number 99. Row number 2, you'll find point leader Ryan Chapman, who wants to continue the strength that he has had all season long, alongside Ben Tracy, who is fastest in practice. Row number 3, you'll find Marshall Johnson at the number 9, the Talladega winner, trying to come home with another victory tonight, and Chris Custer with a great qualifying effort in the 66 machine. Row number 4, you'll find Robert Milikian, who had some great runs in both the Truck and Cup Series last year in 2024C. Finished runner-up last week at Dover, was at least in the podium position. Alan Durunko to the outside, the number 2. And Wesley rounding out the top 10. Row number 5, you'll find Kyle Milliken and Cody McKinney, who finished in the top 5 back in 2024A.
Moving on to row number 6, Joey McKinney in the 18 machine, Joe Flanagan in the 53, top 12. Row 7 will find Jake Ollier in the 92 and Wayne Grassi in the number 7. Row 8, Lewis Meglin in the 43, Brian Bliss will be in the number 3. Row 9, 18 starters will find TJ Bartell, the 98, Sherwood Williford in truck 33. Moving on to the top 20, John Rhodes in the 88, and Justin Diltz will be in the 91.
For 11, you'll find Anthony Cozy in the 69 machine and Tony Solari in the 11, who struggled a bit in practice. We'll see what he can do here tonight. Row number 12, Cole Crawford. Welcome to FTSR. I believe that's a new name we have not heard. He'll be in the number 13 tonight alongside James Torrey in the number 6. Row number 13, you'll find Rick Webb and Michael Blackner, who had a good run here in one of the Kansas races 1 year ago. In row number 14, the man who swept both 2023A and 2023C races here at Kansas, Brody Hanna and Joey Flanagan in the number 57. Trucks ready to go here at Kansas. They'll do their one parade lap before they come to the start of the Kansas race here tonight, and it should be a good one here, Wesley, for sure.
Yeah, it certainly should, man. Obviously, we got the field pacing right now behind the pace car, and you see all these drivers in their kaleidoscope of colors getting into formation. They're not going to be 2x2 for long. This should be an exciting race. Kansas is very, very fun. And obviously, we're going to see who can be able to be the man at the end of the night, carrying momentum, obviously, as we wrap up, I believe, the C squad, if you will, the C run of the schedule.
Yeah, remember, obviously, 2 races left here, starting with this one here tonight, and then they will head to Darlington next week, and that will come to the conclusion of 2024A, and then we'll get going with the B schedule on
there you go, A
around
schedule.
the end of the month. So should be a fun one, but here we go. Pace car is down and away on pit road. James Mullins and JP Burns are going to lead them down to the Geico restart zone. Barney the flagman waves the green flag, and we're racing in the heartland at Kansas, where James Mullins gets out to about a 2-truck length lead over JP Burns, with Ryan Chapman, the points leader, right behind him in the 1.
200 miles, 134 laps, and the green flag flies. It's going to be Mullins with the whole shot. Shades of what he did at Dover last week. Chapman behind him. Johnson on the bottom. Here comes Burns, the Canadian, up top. He'll battle alongside Malikian as they work in 3.
This first stage for James Mullins and Ryan Chapman is so crucial because those are the top 2 in points. And coming into tonight, James Mullins picking up that 5th win actually, of the season last week at Dover, closed that point gap up to just 16 points, and with 2 races remaining, things are going to get hairy, so they want as many points as they can, as you see the trucks scattering around, 3 wide for position into turn 3.
It didn't take them long to go 3 wide, scattering in the middle of the lane, the 35 and the 66. That's Ben Tracy, Chris Custer. All these guys somehow muster that momentum down to the line. A couple of laps into it now. The Toyota, Ryan Chapman got around Mullins. Mullins falls back to 3rd. Johnson up the 2nd on the high side as they work into 1.
Back to turns 1 and 2, you see Ben Tracy working on the outside of Cody McKinney and Kyle Milliken down the back straightaway. Ben Tracy tries to peek out of line. Instead, he'll elect to go to the outside now, this time into turn number 3, where the outside lane is probably the fastest way around this racetrack, but you got to be careful to not use up those tires. Nearly an incident right there. Kyle Milliken just barely closing the door on that's actually Joey McKinney in the number 18 machine, back to 1 and 2.
Somehow they hold it together again, watching these guys avoid incident to the back straightaway. There goes Malikian on the bottom. He's got the outside lane to deal with Ben Tracy. Ben Tracy's got Johnson's tailgate in front of him. Mullins on the inside of the driver left of Johnson, and they come storming off 4.
Turn number 4 this time by. Everybody's still 2 by 2 pretty much. Some single file racing, a little bit of 3 wide action throughout the pack as well as you ride on board Robert Malikian, who last week at Dover came runner-up, still looking for a win here in this season. Came into tonight 4th in the points, only 82 points back, so it's going to be hard if he wants to try to win this A championship. But still, nevertheless, a great season for the driver of the number 16. Had some great runs last year at Kansas in the C portion in both the Cup and Truck Series, where in Trucks he came home 7th after finishing 6th. He very well could be a driver to look out for here tonight as they're back into turn 1 this time.
Yeah, another lap on the board. Got a handful of laps complete right now. All the while, it is still Ryan Chapman. He's the man that leads the way. The back straightaway they roll. Tracy to 2nd, Mullins 3rd. That's about a Toyota, a Ford, a Chevrolet, and then 2 more Toyotas behind them with Johnson, Burns, your top 5. Here comes Johnson now. He makes the move on Mullins on the inside as they come to the line.
Talladega winner against the 5-time race winner this season of James Mullins. Johnson and Mullins side by side, back to 1 and 2. JP Burns throws the block a little bit there on the 28 machine of Cody McKinney, but they remain single file on that top side while everybody tries to work down to the bottom. And Wesley, this is part of the run where you're going to start to see guys travel down to the bottom, save a little bit of tire, and then you'll start to see guys move up top with that progressive banking.
Yeah, no doubt about it. As we watch them transition their way back across the line, and you see them using below the bottom of the apron, that's allowed. Obviously, not like the super speedways, if you will. You don't want to get behind that double yellow line, but behind the white line, it is all fair game. As you watch now, that battle in the top 10, that's Meglin trying to go after Allier and Milliken to try to climb into that spot. They're right there nestled with one another. Peeking on the outside is Custer in 3.
Meglin to the inside now of Jake Euler, and also the outside of him, Joey McKinney's going to put it 3 wide. Now he's in the middle. The 92 of Euler bounces off the wall. They're 4 wide for a brief moment across the line. He'll get side by side with Chris Custer. Oh, they make contact!
no!
Around goes Chris Custer in front of the field. Jake Euler plows into him on the right rear quarter panel, and both of those trucks are up and into the wall in turn number 1, and that will bring out our first caution of the evening here at Kansas.
You know, Jason, we were talking about the tide ride of Custer being a little aggressive on the outside lane, trying to find a run. And here's a look at the replay as they're storming down the back straightaway. As I aforementioned, the storm brewing there. He was trying to pick a lane to go to the inside. He got stuck to the outside, got boxed in by the 18 machine there for just a split second of McKinney. And while that happened, Oyer hit the wall. That made Custer check up. And then from there on, calamity going to turn 1. He ran out of room pretty much.
Yeah, the 66 machine tried to come to the racetrack, probably thought he was going to be clear of the 92, but just wasn't. Unfortunately, both of those trucks end up in the wall. Shouldn't be race-ending damage, but that's definitely going to be a big impact on their races for sure, no doubt about it. Also, another update to the race winner from Kansas, who swept both races 1 year ago, Brody Hanna, did not start tonight's race, so he will be credited with a 28th place finish. And also, just want to give a quick shout out to Brody Hanna real quick. I know it's completely off topic, but he's been doing a great job this season, managing the schedule, keeping the drivers in line. Obviously, one of the admins and series owner over here for the FTSR division and leagues. Great stuff from Brody Hanna, so we applaud him for allowing us to cover the series, cover everything that they basically do between the trucks and the Cup Series, and big shout out to him as well for maintaining order, obviously, here with the Truck Series and the Cup as well, along with everything else that they do in FTSR. But obviously we are under the first caution of the evening. A couple of drivers coming down pit road, Joey Flanagan, JP Burns among those, with Jake Euler, Chris Custer, who were just involved in that first caution. And Wesley, we've already seen these guys be very aggressive in these first 10 to 11 laps now. This is probably what we're going to see all night long. And I know you know, because not only have we both called races here with trucks on iRacing at Kansas, but even in the real life stuff, you think back to last year, how, you know, the 19 of Christian Eckes on a late race restart with the Pack Racing made some amazing moves to get past Zane Smith. This is the kind of racing you see with these trucks on these mile and a half. Is this type of pack racing that's really tight and condensed.
Yeah, and I think that's the reason why, obviously, in the spring and in the fall during the playoffs, that NASCAR really realizes Kansas Speedway is a very fun racetrack. It's one of those intermediate or cookie cutter tracks that people call it, but the way this track is designed, it is designed for height intensity racing. As you saw quickly in the opening 10 laps, they quickly got to the whip. They didn't waste no time going 3 wide. And with that little slip by, you know, Oyer, and of course with you know, Custer nowhere to go, you know, then we had the accident. But honestly, you know, that was just a bad move being made, and you know, checking up and traffic, you know, bunching up the front. He had nowhere to go from there. But we saw before that happened, Jason, they were 3 wide. They were using every lane to the racetrack, the bottom of the racetrack, below the apron on the flat. Yeah, I think this is just the start of things to come here for the race at Kansas tonight.
Yeah, and looking right now at the SDK live timing and leaderboard here on our end of the broadcast, only a few drivers have actually lost positions from the start of this race. Some have stayed neutral right now, like Robert Milikian, Joe Flanagan, and also Brian Bliss. So this has been really interesting to see so far here in this race, no doubt about it. And just in general, you know, this race provides that multi-groove racing. You talked about it at the beginning of the broadcast, that precision banking. Remember, bottom of the racetrack in 3 and 4 and 1 and 2, 17, and it goes upwards of all the way to 20 degrees of banking up at the top of the racetrack. So these guys have a lot of room to work with here between middle, bottom, and top.
And it looks like the lights are going to go off the iRacing pace car this time by. 1 to go indication being given to the field. Ryan Chapman, Ben Tracy will be right there alongside on the front row. Johnson, Mullins, row 2. McKinney, Milikian, row 3. Milliken and Milikian right there along with Meglin, top 8. Bartel and Grassi. One driver falling back, losing 22 spots, was John Paul Burns in the 99 machine. And obviously, Custer lost 21 spots being a part of the accident. So We'll reset. We'll get ready to go back for green here at Kansas, Jason.
Yeah, and this should be a very interesting one.
Uh-oh.
Oh, yeah, and here we go. Look at this. This is the first time I think I've ever seen the weather report be brought back here to LSRTV.
It's been a while.
Right there in the middle of Texas, you see that little blue dot. That is our little guy, Charles Wooten, not so little, hanging out there at the RC shed, waiting to get working on those RC cars. But that is the weather that is incoming into his position here pretty shortly. So if anything were to happen with the broadcast, you know why. So hopefully weather will not affect us here this evening.
Yeah.
We want to see some awesome truck racing. And just like that, the first caution being wrapped up for the evening. Green flag is back out in the air. Chapman and Tracy both head-to-head down into turn one, both getting great pushes as they head for turn one this time.
And ironically, pardon the pun, Jason, as we come back to green, there's also severe weather live in Kansas right now where we are here at Kansas. We'll wait it out, try to get this in as cloud cover buries down on the back straightaway back to green. Chapman of the Nerditudes entry on the inside. There goes Johnson to follow. Mullins up top, and these guys now 1, 2, 3 work their way back to the line off 4. And look at how fast we're back to 2 and 3 wide at the line.
That's just a product of Kansas racing here with this truck series aero package. Even with the open setups, you would think some drivers are faster than others, which you will see here tonight. Tire wear will definitely be a tiny bit of a factor, but this pretty much replicates what we saw in Vegas. And look at the move by Marshall Johnson. Thought about going all the way to the bottom of the racetrack there. Got chopped off by the 27 of Chapman. Now he falls into the clutches of Cody here coming off the corner. That's Cody McKinney in the 28 riding around in 5th.
Back off the corner, back across the line, closing in on 15 in next time around. Chapman now working to the bottom of the racetrack. He's out in front with the clear. Johnson will follow. Mullins and McKinney battling door to door. Now they're going to swallow up the leaders as they work the back stretch, heading 3.
Everybody trying to protect that bottom side. Does not want anybody getting down below them. For all these drivers on the bottom side, you saw Robert Malikian take a peek to the inside of Ben Tracy for a moment, heading into turn 3. Thought he was going to get into the back one there, but ended up lifting, doing a great job. All these guys still remaining 2 by 2, while Johnson and Chapman get single file here up at the front of the field with just 9 laps remaining in stage 1.
Yeah, stage racing here tonight as these drivers work their way back to lap 25, back straightaway. Chapman stays to the inside. Johnson will follow. McKinney, they're all single file. Door to door behind them, Tracy, Milliken, they're battling. Mullins up on the outside lane, hung out to dry. Here he comes back to the middle lane as they work down below the apron. The other drivers on the inside. That doesn't last for long as they work to 1.
And remember, Wesley, after James Mullins got that win 1 week ago at Dover to make it his 5th win up on the board, we talked to him. We said, hey, man, how do you think about this points championship? Because week after week with the wins, the finishes that you've been getting here over Ryan Chapman, you have been inching further and further towards that points lead. And with 2 races remaining here tonight after Dover, he said, well, I wanted to come in here and have fun. Ryan Chapman brought me along, but with the way that I've been doing, I want to go after this championship. And you can just see him right now, 3 wide, shoots the gap in the middle between Johnson and Tracy. He'll pick up the 4th spot. He definitely doesn't want Ryan Chapman getting any stage points here, especially the stage win.
Yeah, with all of this going on, obviously, to wrap up the A schedule, you've got 2 races to go. This is obviously the penultimate race of the season. We go to Atlanta next Wednesday night, and then they have a little bit of a break, and then they reset, and then they go into that B schedule. And obviously, watching it right now, Chapman to the lead, but Mullins being consistent. If he's not winning, Jason, like you said, he's being consistent, and he's doing what he needs to do to put himself in the catbird seat, if you will, before we head to Charlotte for the B schedule of the Sim Racing Points on May 22nd.
Yeah, and it should be an interesting one right there coming off turn number 2. You saw James Mullins just slide right in front of Cody McKinney. Cody went down to the inside, and he stuck with it down on the bottom in 3 and 4. Now he's trying to go for the race lead. Not a lot of help behind him. James Mullins thought about going to the bottom for a second, knew he wasn't going to be clear, had to check up. Ryan Chapman gets out to about a truck length lead over Mullins and McKinney here, back down the back straightaway. And Kyle Milliken has now worked his way up into the 4th spot. He's got a shot here coming to 4 to go in the stage.
Yeah, closing in under a handful of laps remaining here in stage number 1 at Kansas. And Start to see some shake, rattle, roll, and shuffling here on the virtual Kansas Speedway for the guys up in front. Stage playoff points are on the line. Stage points up for grabs, pardon me. And if you can advance more positions, that gets you more points as we work to the end of stage 1.
Right now, that 10th and final point right there with that one single point that will be awarded at the end of the stage, currently being held by TJ Bartel, who's got about a 2/10 gap over him and Lewis Meglin as he tries to run down Wayne Grossi. You see them battling back there. TJ Bartel trying everything he can do to hold on to that 10th place position or gain here with just 3 laps remaining in the stage. James Mullins going, though, to the bottom of the racetrack. He's going to take the lead away from Ryan Chapman as they battle side by side down the American ethanol backstretch.
Mullins on the inside, Chapman up top there in the Nerditudes machine. The top hand foundation entry right there to the bottom. Powers to the lead, the 60 now pulls up in front of Chapman. Little contact there on the left front. Giving plenty of room, though, back to the bottom. Time to run out here with 3 to go in stage number 1. Now 2 to go in the corner.
2 laps remaining in stage 1. Ryan Chapman goes from the bottom back to the top, back to the bottom, trying to figure out a way around Mullins. This time, he'll head up to the top shelf. Mullins will protect the bottom, back to 3 and 4 this time. They're still side by side. If Ryan Chapman wants any form to get that stage win, he's going to have to work on the top shelf, and he's going to have to do it fast. 1 lap to go in stage 1.
Final lap of stage number 1. On the inside, it's Mullins on the flat, pulls back up under the precision banking. Stays locked to the bottom of the racetrack. Here comes now Chapman. He'll power one more time to the back straightaway as they work the American ethanol backstretch. They're bumping, they're banging, there's contact. Chapman on the front as they work the 3 in stage 1.
Final time through 3 and 4 in stage number 1. Mullins going to drive it in deep. He's going to almost door Chapman off the corner. It's going to be a drag race to the line. Who's going to win stage number 1? So close to call, but James Mullins will pick up stage number 1 over Ryan Chapman by just 0.0055. 1/1000th of a second was the gap between the 60 and the 27 machine, and that will come to a conclusion for stage number 1. Wesley, what a finish and what a race in stage number 1.
Yeah, what a show that was for sure between those 2 drivers fighting for those stage points, Mullins and Chapman. And when it's over, the bow tie gets it done. James Mullins in that number 60 machine getting stage 1 here at Kansas. But still a long way to go as our, of course, now second caution flag of the race comes out here in the early going at Kansas. But this is because of the end of the stage here, Jason.
Top 5 in the stage, James Mullins, Ryan Chapman, Cody McKinney, Marshall Johnson, Kyle Milliken, and then the top 10 will be Robert Milicki and Ben Tracy, J.P. Burns, Joey McGinney, and Wayne Grossi. Well, while these guys come down to the service of their pit crew, like always, we're going to step aside, take a quick break. We'll be right back from the Heartland here in Kansas on LSRTV for the start of stage number 2. Welcome back to LSRTV's coverage of the FTSR Sim Racing Points Truck Series. Just wrapped up stage number 1 here from the Kansas Speedway. James Mullins picking up the stage win, and now we're going to bring him up here into the booth where Wesley Outland will get to talk to our stage 1 winner.
James, we saw sure domination by you at Dover last week. Obviously, Kansas is a totally different ladder. What's your take of racing here so far in the opening 25 laps and obviously winning stage 1 over Chapman?
It's been a kind of fun, you know. It's been a little aggressive, but not real aggressive. I mean, I feel like I could amp up a little bit, but I just want to get all these stages. That way we can show our true speed on the long run and hopefully pull the win out.
Well, there you go. There's James Mullins. James, thank you for talking to us. We'll bring you back down to your team. Good luck the rest of the way here in stage number 2, man.
Yeah, thank you, fellas.
And that's James Mullins, driver the number 60, picking up your stage 1 win.
Did you catch that, Jason? I have not unveiled my full potential yet. I'm ready to get to stage 3.
He's got some tricks up his sleeve. He might be the Magic Man. He might be Cal Naughton Jr., where he was tired of finishing second. He's now pulling off win after win. So the Magic Man might have something up his sleeves here for stage number 2. So I believe they're still under the pace lights right now, currently here. And we are coming down to turn number 3 this time. So I believe we are still under the pace lights. We should be getting the one to go to green right here. Again, James Mullins picking up the stage 1 win. And Wesley, what do you think we're going to see here in stage number 2? Now that these drivers have a little bit, obviously, under their belt with the laps, this one should be exciting.
Obviously, I think we're going to see a little bit more aggressiveness. But honestly, part of me also thinks it might be a calm stage 2, Jason. I think right now the key is to get to that third and final stage to make a run for the finish of the race. So honestly, stage 2 might be kind of quiet, you know, getting everybody into place, get those chess pieces in order, if you will, to then declare checkmate on the field in stage 3 for the run to the checker.
Yeah, and it should definitely be a fun one here. Lights are out on the iRacing pace car here as they head back to turn number 1. So again, I'm going to give you your top 10 rundown before we get going for stage 2. It'll be Mullins and Chapman on the front row. Then the rest of the field, you'll find McKinney, Johnson, Milliken, and Malikian, your other 2 rows. Then you'll have Tracy, Burns, Grossi, and McKinney to round out your top 10. So this should be an interesting one here for sure. Obviously, wrapping up stage 1, we're about to get going for stage number 2, or stage 2 will come to a conclusion at the end of lap 55. So you're looking at about coming down to the restart here with 25 laps remaining this time by here in the stage. And it should be a fun one where James Mullins has shown that speed, but like he told Wesley, said he has not shown his full potential. What does that mean? I'm sure we're going to find out what it means a little bit before the end of this race here. Pace car dips down below the pit lane here, and these drivers are ready to go for stage number 2 in the Heartland. Barty the flagman waves the green flag once more, and we're back underway here from Kansas as Mullins gets out to a solid lead, where Ryan Chapman answers it back, being side by side with Mullins back to turn 1.
Second stage underway, this time inside. It's going to be Mullins on the jump. Chapman right where they left off. Again, second verse, same as the first. Back straight away. McKinney, Johnson right there in tow. Here comes now also Maliki and Milliken all in this mix as they work off 3 and 4.
Oh, we got a spinner in the back. Big crash. JP Burns goes around and collects about half the field. Wayne Grossi, TJ Bartel is involved in it as well. A massive crash on the opening lap of stage number 2 takes out a handful of trucks in the process, and it all started heading down into turn number 3. And I believe, like I had mentioned, it was JP Burns getting sent around. It might have come off the front bumper of the 35 and then Tracy Wesley.
Well, so much for being clean and green for the stage 2 start. Obviously, these guys ready to just get tore up from the floor up, pardon the pun, here at the start of the second stage here. Wow, Burns. Oh, man, and then nowhere to go for the 18 and other drivers. Holy smokes.
Yeah.
Rossi collected in it.
Oh, my gosh. And here's the thing, though, too, Wesley, is because, and the whole reason I know that that was just purely getting loose is because here's the thing. When you come to a track like Kansas, I mean, turns 1 and 2, you're still getting up to speed, so it's not really affecting you. But by the time you get to 3 and 4, I had this happen to me once in one of the C-Fix races last night. I got a little loose heading into 3, and I said to myself, all right, got to back it down. And for the 99 of Burns, he's full throttle. I don't think he expected the truck to get loose like that. He got up on that blacktop seam, obviously just loses the right rear, and the truck just goes around and collects a lot of trucks in the process.
Yeah, we got him scattered over there off of that fourth turn. Big tough break there for Wayne Grossi. We're going to look at it from another angle again as we are closing in on 100 laps to go here at Kansas and start of stage 2. This is with Bliss in the 3. Let's watch what he did. Oh my, I think he thought he had the clear as he got around the 69. But then from there on, he got tagged and went into the safer barrier head on as he tried to advance by Anthony Cozy. And for Cozy to get him to the 3, that calls Cozy into Bliss. And you see what happened to him, so we're under yellow flag again.
Yeah, it looked like the 3 right there of Brian Bliss was trying to go down to the bottom, and Anthony Cozy just came down and just basically wailed the number 3 machine there and sent the Blackwater machine up the racetrack and got collected into the 54 machine you saw as well of Rick Webb. So that puts us now under the 3rd caution of the evening, one being for a wreck down into turn 1 between Jake Euler and Chris Custer. Stage number 1 completion, and now obviously a big multi-car crash coming into 3 and 4. And there's your Virginia811.com caution race summary. 11 caution laps so far, 4 different lead changes, and a total of 3 cautions like I had aforementioned. And obviously Virginia811.com reminding you to dig with care, as always here, as we're still running up on lap number 34 here, about to approach 100 laps to go this time by. The field should get the 1 to go. And Wesley, I mean, think about James Mullins here for a second, because he has probably the best momentum out of anybody, not just from last week's win at Dover, but just the entire season in general. You look at him so far this season. He has got only 10 starts to Ryan Chapman's 11, but look at these stats. 4 poles compared to 2, 5 race wins compared to 0, 8 stage wins compared to 2, and multiple other different stats. So, I mean, James Mullins is riding up on a high horse right now coming into tonight.
Could you say he's the Pied Piper, if you will, right now, obviously?
Oh, definitely.
Carrying all this momentum, obviously, in the penultimate race, or the cream of the crop, as I like to say. 100 laps to go, by the way, when they come to the line. But yeah, man, obviously, what a drive that we're seeing Mullins do. And you know what? He caught fire at the perfect time, because honestly, Jason, you know what? You're getting ready to reset here. You got Atlanta next week, and then you're going to reset into that B schedule in a couple of weeks at Charlotte. Obviously, a mile and a half, and that's something you got to think about. Mile and a half, mile and a half, mile and a half the next 3 weeks. That's could be an advantage for this Mullins guy. He's figured these tracks out in this truck number 60.
Yeah, James Mullins has been basically a bullet here on these tracks that have been really a driver's track and ones that are tough to drive. You think back to Dover 1 week ago where he picked up that 5th win of the season. That is a driver's racetrack. It's a love-hate relationship between the driver and Miles the Monster here. And it could be the same for a track like Darlington, which is coming up next week. So we could very well see James Mullins pull something underneath his sleeve, or out of the hat, rather. The Magic Man, what we're going to start nicknaming him here. So should be interesting for him. Remember, he said he still has stuff. Now you don't. Yeah, now you see me, now you don't. So here we go. Coming into the restart zone this time by, it'll be Mullins and McKinney leading them down to the Geico restart zone. Green flag is back out in the air. This time Mullins gets about a 1 truck length lead over Cody McKinney back to turn number 1. Ryan Chapman, though, Wesley, hot on the heels of the 60 machine, back to 1.
Back to it again. Under 100 laps to go down here at Kansas. Nightfall settling in as well. Sunset night will be coming. Mullins up in front. Here comes Chapman to the bottom. Chevrolet, Toyota, Ford. Right now the top 5 with another Toyota there with, of course, McKinney. All this goes on. Chapman to the inside. Mullins opens the door. He might free fall back to 2nd, 3rd, 4th, maybe more as they come to the line.
3 wide for the 2nd position. Give it to Tracy on the bottom side. Malikian in the middle. And then James Mullins up to the top side. Thought about going 4 wide for a quick moment there with Cody McKinney, but he decided to lay off. Now they'll kind of simmer down. Down the back straightaway, Ryan Chapman gets out to a 3 truck length lead. Back to turn number 3. Malikian gives the push to Tracy. Back to turn number 3. Watch out for Tracy, looking for that first win. doing a great job right now running in P2. And by the way, fastest in practice, that 35 was.
And Chapman now the new leader. Tracy, that fast man in practice, now to the P2 spot behind them. It is a big gaggle of traffic. 5 trucks throw a blanket over them. From Malikian all the way down to Solari and Milliken. All this goes on as they work their way off the turn 2 to the back straightaway. The American Ethanol backstretch. Hold your line. Malikian to the inside of Mullins. The stage 1 winner now under attack as they work 3.
Back to turn 3, you see Malikian working the bottom here of James Mullins. This is a guy who wants to come out here and win a race. He's been so close so many times. He's got to win from the offseason and that D portion of the schedule. That was with, if you could say, the fun portion of the schedule, obviously, in the offseason. But Robert Malikian still looking for, I believe, that first truck win in that number 16 machine. Really good showing last year at Kansas in both the Cup and Truck Series events. Remember, last year, if you watched the Cup Series race, Robert Malikian was leading coming into turn 3, coming to the white flag before he got up into the wall and almost got up into the wall right there was the 35 of Ben Tracy. Made some contact with the right rear quarter panel of James Mullins through the tri-oval, and now Ben Tracy falls back to 6th, might even fall back to 7th.
Man, what a big save he just made a moment ago. Of course, the 35 Tracy now falling back into the clutches of the top 10. Malikian, though, battles alongside the left driver door of Mullins. Mullins outside. Here comes McKinney as his wingman. Or will he split him? He will. He'll be the hot dog flying out of the bun. If they can go 3 wide, he'll backtrack. Crossover move. It's Tracy to the inside and throw the block on Malikian into 1.
Tracy drives it deep back to turn number 1, and out of turn number 2, he'll be able to clear Tony Solari, who has made up 16 spots here so far this evening. And we talked to Tony Solari before the start of this race, and he said, hey, ovals just really aren't my thing. I've always struggled at them. Even if I try to be aggressive, something always happens to me. But so far, having a great run in that number 11 machine for Fury Motorsports tonight, working right behind Milliken and Tracy as they head back to 1. Robert Malikian there, Wesley, up in that 3rd place position, trying to rip the top side and clear James Mullins finally.
Somehow just got to press on. Still a long way to go in this race. Still about 20 laps or so to the halfway mark of this one as well here in stage 2 at Kansas. All the while, things kind of settle down now, at least behind the top 3. But for 4th through 7th, 8th on back, it is still a big gaggle of traffic. And now they're 3 wide for 4th going back into turn 1.
3 wide, back to 1 and 2. You see the 16 of Malikian now on the outside of Ben Tracy. Here comes Marshall Johnson as well in the number 9. How about the 91 of Justin Diltz as well? A driver we haven't talked about pretty much all season long, finding his way up inside the top 10 in that number 91 machine, the Premier Racing Setup Shop's Toyota Tundra TRD machine to the inside of Tony Solari. They're 2x2 from Malikian and Johnson back to Solari and the 91 of Diltz as they head for 2.
And all the while they continue to battle this way, almost 3 wide, thinking about it. Solari on the outside behind the back of Malikian. Inside now, the 91 of Diltz is to the bottom. Can he get there? No, he will not. They'll roll in now Johnson as they work their way back out of 4.
And Malikian gets a great entry to turns 3 and 4. He'll get to the outside of Marshall Johnson, but elects to tuck back in line. Not good enough momentum off the corner. Meanwhile, battle for 2nd going on up at the front of the field. McKinney and Mullins battling side by side. Opened up the door for Kyle Milliken to peek a look down to the bottom side off turn number 2. They're single file for about the first 6 trucks. And then you have Solari, Malikian, they're side by side. Here comes Cody McKinney. He'll dive it down to the bottom underneath 3.
Inside, McKinney, Mullins up top, and they're right there behind them 2x2. The leader is still Chapman. Chapman battled along with William Mullins there in stage 1. Chapman showing his strengths now. Watching now also Tracy. He's climbing back into the top 5 in front of this battle behind the leaders off 2.
Marshall Johnson brushes the wall once. He brushes it twice down the American Ethanol back straightaway, but he's able to settle back in there. You see Milliken to the outside of Ben Tracy exiting turn number 4. Laps are winding down in stage number 2, this time by 9 laps remaining in stage number 2, and Cody McKinney has found his way up to 2nd, trying to look for a way around Ryan Chapman as they come off 2.
All the while, they're back into the corner again. It's Chapman up in front. McKinney to the 2 spot. Mullins to 3rd. They're 1, 2, and 3. Mirror goes McKinney. Back to the bottom now. Can he get the run on Chapman? He tries to. Mullins is right there in his tire tracks, if you will, as they work their way off the corner, closing in on lap number 53 wide behind them as they go from the top to the apron.
3 wide from 4th back to 6th. They almost went 3 wide for the race lead for a quick second, but Johnson, Tracy, and Milliken in a battle of their own inside the top 4. Backed off turn number 2. Here comes Cody McKinney, meanwhile, to the outside of Ryan Chapman, trying to look for a way around him. This time by, it'll be 6 laps remaining, or rather 7 here in the stage. Chapman trying to hang on for the stage win, while Mullins is trying to make sure he doesn't maximize on those stage points here. 7 laps remaining in stage 2.
Time running out here as right now closing into the home stretch of this one. It's all the while still Chapman on the bottom. Here comes McKinney up top. Mullins, stage 1 winner, Dover winner, 5 wins on the year, looking to try to go down for 6. He's right there behind them, side by side now for the lead. Chapman, McKinney, door to door into 3 at Kansas.
Chapman throws it down to the bottom in 3 and 4, but McKinney has forward drive off the corner. What will he do with it? He'll stay behind the number 27 machine. Mullins dives down to the bottom. McKinney trying to find a way. One of that outside. Chapman blocks. 6 laps remaining. They're 3 wide for the race lead, entering 1.
And 3 wide again. Now it's going to be McKinney, the man that's the hot knife through butter. Here they come off the corner, side by side now. Side by side. Now they break away to the inside. Mullins backs off. He falls to 3rd. McKinney and Chapman now battle off of 3, 4, off of 4.
You see Chapman trying to run him back down. This time he'll head down to the bottom side, all the way in that shallow apron area. Comes back up the racetrack to try to side draft the 28. He'll take the race lead away this time. 5 laps remaining. He'll pull the slide job half-wise down off turn number 2. The 27 still trying to look to reclaim the race lead as they head back for 3.
Boy, all this excitement, I got tongue-tied there for just a moment. They work their way back into the corner again. Here comes down Chapman back to the bottom. McKinney will return the favor, stays up against the safer barrier. He's got a wingman now. Here comes Mullins back to help out McKinney. 3 wide as they send her back into turn number 1.
I think we're all getting a little tongue-tied up here in the booth with how much excitement we've been having to do, how much we've been calling. This battle for the race lead has been the best we've probably seen all season long. And while they're 3 wide here for the stage win, Marshall Johnson closing in, inching further and further closer to the rear tailgates of the 28, 60, and 27 machine off 4.
Wow, 3 wide, almost an entire revolution around the racetrack here at Kansas, if you will, closing in on the end of stage number 2. Now they're going to get in a conga line and try to send it out single file, except for Johnson. He'll be the odd man out. He'll stay to the inside, try to battle with these guys up on the top as they work now single file off 2 again.
Back to turn number 3 this time by. It'll be 2 laps to go in stage number 2 when they come back to the line this time by. James Mullins works to the inside while Cody McKinney tries to rip the wall up top. This time now 2 laps remaining in stage number 2, and the leaders are 1, 2, 3, 4, single file in line. Does anybody have anything left for James Mullins in the stage? McKinney closes up. Mullins gets a little loose. McKinney tries to look down to the inside off 2.
Gave him a bumper on the tailgate of the lead truck. Now Mullins, when it's the right time to go, he has gone. He is back up in front. Winner last week. Stage 1 winner earlier here at Kansas. He powers to the lead. It's now McKinney to try to battle for that spot as they work off 4 to the line.
1 lap remaining here in stage number 2. You saw Cody McKinney give the bumper down the back straightaway. He was right up on the tailgate of pretty much James Mullins entering turns 3 and 4. This time he's got about a quarter of a truck length right behind him down the American Ethanol back straightaway for the final time in stage 2. McKinney will go down to the bottom. Let's see what he can do. He throws it down in there. Mullins rips the top side off turn number 4 for the final time in stage number 2. McKinney's move will not be enough, and James Mullins goes back-to-back in the stages here at Kansas. And the caution will come out here in just a second. There it is. Wesley, I think we're probably both out of breath here, man, because I know I am. Because this racing was exciting.
Oh, man, it certainly was, dude. We enjoyed it, and it was highly entertaining, no doubt about it. And what a show. And once again, Mullins put himself in the catbird seat where he needed to be at the right time. not just stage 1, but stage 2 here tonight at Kansas Speedway. By the way, here's another quick statistic, because you know I'm a stat guy, Jason. In the last two races, James Mullins has won 5 stages with the Full Throttle Truck Series. How about that?
Yeah, it's absolutely insane. James Mullins just picked up another 2 stages here tonight, and obviously we're going to see if he can close it out. So Mullins, McKinney, Chapman, Johnson, Tracy, Milliken, Blackner, Duranko, Williford, your top 10. We'll step aside, take a quick break, and we'll come back for the start of stage number 3. We'll have somebody come up here in the booth for a special guest joining us. We'll be right back after this. Welcome back after the conclusion of stage number 2 here to LSRTV's coverage of the FTSR Sim Racing Points Truck Series, where James Mullins just picked up yet another stage win here this evening. And joining us up here in the booth now, Mr. Brody Hanna, man. Called the race with you on Monday. Welcome back up here to the booth, my friend.
Hey, thanks for having me, man. I've been enjoying this race, and man, that finishing stage 1, that was intense, huh?
Yeah, it definitely was intense, obviously. And Brody, obviously, you guys just released the Season B schedule here coming up. So talk to us about it a little bit. What went on into it? I know you guys base your seasons off the Real Cup, Xfinity, and Truck Series schedules. But I know, obviously, you guys have had a lot of fun these last few weeks. I know you guys did last year. But talk to us about that upcoming schedule here for Season B.
Yeah, so Season B, we got, of course, we're going to continue the Cup and the Truck Series that everybody's been enjoying here on LSRTV. We're going to continue those for the most part the way they are. Just some minor tweaks. We're going to get rid of one of the stages. We're going to go back to doing one stage in our races. That's going to allow the stages to be a little bit longer. You get a little more racing, a little more tire wear, a little more strategy, and honestly a longer run at the end. These guys kind of wanted to see more of that. And also it just kind of balances the points out a little bit better, we found. So a little bit of an experiment for us. We're going to go back to one. But yeah, we've got the trucks and the Cup Series coming back. And we've got a new series coming out too on Thursday nights, the Victory Fuel Cup Series, the Gen 6 cars. We're going back to the Gen 6 with no shifting, no stages. We're going to just have some fun with that as well. Looking forward to that car. That car's a lot of fun.
Got to ask you this question, Brody. Obviously, always great catching up with you, man, whenever I can. The transition of moving your broadcast to LSRTV, how has that been for the Full Throttle Sim Racing family, you feel?
Oh, it's been incredible. We've had so much good feedback from the drivers, from people watching, from the teams. A lot of good coverage. You guys are kind of hitting on all cylinders there. And they love it. The drivers love it. And again, the people watching love it. We're getting some really good feedback from the guys, from people that watch the races, family members or friends or whatever. And I will say, I think that's been sort of a part of reaching out to Victory Fuel, and we've got some exciting stuff coming up with Victory Fuel. They've been incredible to work with, as you guys have as well.
Oh, yeah.
We're growing, we're expanding, we're getting bigger and better. We're getting some great drivers out there on track, as you've seen, and I'm just excited.
Yeah, well,
And by
thank
the
you,
way,
Brody.
Jason, by the way, Brody, I know you've asked me one time, when you going to come do a cup race with me?
Hey,
May 13th, I think my schedule's open for that race at Darlington, which is the final race of the C? Or
it
the A
is.
schedule?
It is. And you're going to see
Yeah,
some cool paint schemes out there, too. We got the throwback schemes. It's going to be a lot of fun.
Yeah.
Oh, man, well, it should be a good one. Brody, thank you for joining us up here in the booth, man. We hope you enjoy the rest of the race, and we hope to see you on track again pretty soon, man.
Hey, guys, yeah, and enjoy this race. You guys do a bang-up job. Just keep at it.
There you go. That's Brody
Thank you,
Hanna. That's driver the number 23 machine, obviously, for both the Cup and Truck Series, joining us up here in the booth. And with that being said, green flag is back out here in stage number 3, Wesley. This is where the intensity is going to ramp up. James Mullins told us at the end of stage 1, said, hey, I haven't shown my full potential. I think he pretty much did in stage 2, and he's still got more left.
Well, he was in the back, powered his way up to the front at the end of the stage and got the stage points again. He's going to try to go down for 2 straight races to sweep the stages and wins. For win 6 right now, it's Mullins in the bottom of the racetrack. Tracy will follow. Chapman up top. It's Milik and Maliki in top 5, working off 2 here in stage 3 to get it going.
Down the back straightaway into turn number 3. Tracy works down to the bottom shelf here of Ryan Trapman, trying to capture that second position, in which he will. Off turn number 4, slots right inside. Chapman will work down to the bottom. Tracy tries to throw the block and does. Slams the door shut on Chapman back to 1.
Almost 3 wide. They tried to go 3 wide. If Chapman got the mustard of momentum, he'll now power to the inside, pass by Mullins. Here comes now Milliken on the inside. They're going to now have to battle Tracy. Fast man in practice, the 35, up to the front in turn 3.
Back to turns 3 and 4 they go, or rather 1 and 2, I believe, here off, and it is turn 4. So my bad. Off turn 4, both corners look so similar, but Ben Tracy out here with this lead, looking for that win, the first one of the season, and possibly, I believe, his FTSR career, doing a heck of a job right now up front. Remember, like we had mentioned, fastest in practice, and right now, Wesley, he is showing that speed while everybody behind him battles for position back to 3.
And remember, stage 3 just getting started. They haven't even got the cross flags yet. We're just about to approach 100 miles into this thing, and of course, about 70 or some odd laps to go. Leaders work off 3 and 4. Tracy to the bottom of the apron. Chapman, Mullins will follow. They're going to quickly get back into single file as the sun sets and night is upon us here at Kansas.
You know what they say, sun goes down, lights come on, that full moon's up for the air, man. These guys get going, and it becomes a party on the racetrack, and that has definitely been a staple of the NASCAR Truck Series for the last handful of years, probably. And obviously, it could be the same thing for the FTSR guys. Back off into the corner, down the tri-oval. Ben Tracy still leading this one. Ryan Chapman trying to find a way back around the Tracy machine. How about Sherwood Williford? Started deep into the field. He's made his way up into the top 5 as he looks to the outside of Robert Malikian down the back straightaway.
Another move made to the back stretch one more time. There's that 16 of Malikian battling now with Williford. Williford up top now. Johnson follows along behind them, or Webb. They're door to door. Meanwhile, up front, single file. Tracy leads them on lap number 66.
Tracy still leading, but great battling going on back behind the race leaders, behind Milliken in 4th. You see Robert Milliken, his teammate, to the outside, or rather the bottom side. Outside being Sherwood Williford, still trying to work in that top side. Marshall Johnson back behind Milliken. Then you have the 54 of Rick Webb. Remember, he was involved in one of those wrecks in stage number 2 from the opening lap. He has found his way now inside the top 10. And so have James Torrey, Michael Blackner, and Chris Custer from that first incident in the early portion of the race. He's up to 11th now as they work back to 1.
And the cross flags are also out. We're halfway home, 67 laps in, 100 miles in, 100 miles to go. Tracy up in front. Look at this gaggle of traffic with Johnson on the inside. It's now Milliken on the outside, on the top. On the bottom, Tracy again. Here comes now Johnson. It's Torrey. It's also Webb. Here comes Custer. Remember Custer caught up in a wreck earlier, Jason. He's climbed his way in the top 10 off 4.
And he is doing a great job. A lot of these drivers, Wesley, we are not used to seeing with up into the top 10. One of those drivers being Chris Custer, Michael Blackner, the 54 of Rick Webb. You could also make up an excuse for Justin Dilt. Haven't really talked about them all that much this year. Sherwood Williford, he is a driver who has an up and down type of season every single season we have. Last year, his last win came at the Indianapolis Motor Speedway on the oval for the Cup Series. That was in July. And right now, trying to look for a way around these drivers to take home the victory in that number 33 machine, as him and James Torrey are side-by-side off too, while we have a battle for the race lead up front.
Up front, Chapman trying to get to Tracy. Here comes now up to the bottom in the East, 27. Chapman, wingman, Mullins behind. They're 1-2. Up top side, Tracy now by himself. The field thundering behind them, but he can't catch him, and it's the new leader, Chapman, in front into turn number 1. Nerditude's time.
The top 2 in points are the top 2 in the race, and James Mullins has closed in a little bit with those 2 stage wins here tonight on Ryan Chapman in the points. But this is a take-home situation for these drivers here tonight. Ryan Chapman looking for his first win of the season. James Mullins working for his 6th, and you would think Mullins has the point lead, but like I had mentioned, close that gap up. Ryan Chapman still the points leader with that momentum he has had here tonight. As they head back to turn number 2, Mullins now slips up a little bit, opened up the door for Tracy, and then Ina Marshall here down the back straightaway.
Giving plenty of room one more time to the back stretch. It's Chapman out in front, Mullins second, Tracy third. Johnson and Milliken top 5 now, ready for the second half of this race and the run to the finish. They come storming off the 4, down to the line. Chapman clears the way. They're toward it. Well, they were door to door. Now we're back single file as they'll send it back into 1.
To 1 and 2, bottom side, everybody pretty much single file here as they approach lap number 174. Marshall Johnson takes a peek to the inside. He'll duck back in line behind Tracy, works again down to the bottom, but everybody migrating down to the bottom, knowing, Wesley, at this portion of the race, it's not a 25 and a 25 lap stint. It's from lap after 55, lap 60, all the way to the checkered flag. You got to save a little bit of tire.
Yeah, no doubt about it as they work their way back to the corner again. Up the racetrack, it's now going to be Mullins up high. Chapman, Tracy stay locked to the bottom. Johnson right there. Here comes also Milliken, Malicki, and all these guys running down the stage. 1-2 winner. Mullins under attack in 3.
Mullins down to the bottom, and Ryan Chapman tried to close him off. They made contact. Mullins flies up the wall. Ben Tracy hard up into the wall off turn number 4. He's able to keep it straight. Milliken almost gets a 2-for-1 special off turn number 4. That could have been the move of the race, with the 27 holding his ground. Came down, cut off the number 60, got him loose. Ben Tracy checked up, and now he falls back to 7th after an amazing run tonight. He's going to have a lot of work to do, but look who's moved into 2nd, Wesley. It's Marshall Johnson, your Talladega winner from a few weeks ago.
So it's Ryan Chapman, the leader, as they come off of turn 4, getting ready to put lap number 75 on the board, this time by Chapman, the leader. Johnson second. Malicki gets around all that chaos a moment ago, moves to 3rd. Mullins 4th. Malicki now to 5th. That's the new top 5 as they work the back stretch.
Down off into the back straightaway, back down into turn number 3. Marshall Johnson running a little bit faster than Ryan Chapman up here, the race leader. Kyle Milliken right back behind them in that 3rd place spot up on the podium, while James Mullins and Robert Milliken try to look forward to that podium position. Lap 77 will now go up on the board. Everybody, though, still trying to chase down Ryan Chapman as Johnson works to the inside with a 27. He thought about cutting him off. They're side-by-side off 2 for the lead.
Trying to make that move to the bottom of the racetrack. Johnson still stays locked to the inside of the Craftsman Tools number 9. The Nerditudes entry, Chapman 27 up top for MS Motorsports. They are going to be side by side. No, they will not. Chapman got the clear. He's the guy up in front now, but here comes Milliken piling it on as they work into 1.
The Martin Sports machine of Ryan Chapman came down, tried to cut off the 9 machine, got him a little loose, exiting turn number 4. Marshall Johnson fell back about 3 car lengths to the 27. Here comes James Mullins from that little slippage he had a few laps ago. He has now worked his way back to third. Kyle Milliken will work up to the middle groove this time, entering 3 and 4 with his teammate Robert Milikian as well in the Martin Sports Machines. They all work off turn number 4 back to the line. Lap 79 up on the board.
All this happening again now as we work our way back towards lap 100, stage 3. It's the go for all. All the while, it's Chapman the leader, Johnson the second. There you see now that machine right there of Kyle Milliken. Milliken being patient, hitting his marks right now into that number 4 spot. Can he catch the top 3? He's got Mullins in his sights up high as they work off 4.
And Wesley, remember how we talked about some of these guys having to save a little bit of tires? You see Milikian get up into the wall, just barely brushes it off turn number 4. These guys are going to have to make at least one more pit stop here, because we talked to Michael Blackner and Tony Solari before the start of the race, asked them, hey, what does the fuel run look like here on this 1.5 mile? They said it was about 45 to 47 laps, and from when they pitted on lap 57, if you do the math, you're looking at around lap 102. You'll see these guys start to peel off down to pit road. And it should make for an interesting race here, but will the caution come out? We've had some exciting moments, but everybody is kind of simmered down for the time being.
And obviously, green flag pit stops is a totally different scenario too. Definitely got to be hitting your marks with your crew. Cannot make any mistakes, no doubt, whenever you come down pit road under green flag conditions, besides under the yellow flag. There you see now the 16 machine. That's Maliki, and he's in the top 5. That's where everybody's at right now comfortably, with still Chapman the leader. He's trying to close in on Milliken and Johnson. They're in his sights, but right now Mullins back to second as they work their way across the line back to 1.
Yeah, battle for the race lead right now. Ryan Chapman and James Mullins down into turn number 1. Mullins will retake the race lead away from Ryan Chapman, and that's everything that he needs if he wants to close in on that points battle that's been happening the last handful of weeks. Chapman gets a great run back to turn number 3. They'll both ride the top side here exiting turn number 4, while Marshall Johnson waits in the wings right back behind them.
There's Mullins back out in front again. Chapman in the number 2 spot. Johnson third. They're all riding up against the outside of the safer barrier. And right now, holding their line. No change in those spots as they work their way to the back straightaway.
Let's take a look real quick here at our live weather update presented by Charles Wooten, and there it is.
The weather crew, literally, aren't we, Jason?
Yeah, we're trying to beat the weather, so hopefully it holds out. I mean, by the looks of it, with the way it's been moving, this race should go green all the way to the end. At least when I mean go green all the way to the end for us here on LSRTV. So hopefully it holds out, because boy, oh boy, if you don't know Texas weather like Charles Wooten does, when it rains, it pours, as they say, obviously, courtesy of Luke Combs there. And obviously, hopefully, we will battle the weather, but we are fighting it hard right now. Hopefully, Mother Nature will let us finish this great race that we've seen so far here tonight, Wesley. James Mullins, still your race leader here, back to turn 1.
Another lap here, closing in lap 85 next time around. Starting to just see some action going around all over the racetrack, because right now we show you a battle in the top 10. That's Webb and Bartell. In front of them is Blackner. They're just kind of battling amongst themselves. There's a battle for the, everything kind of comfortable now with the battle for the lead. So we're kind of picking more battles happening throughout the pack as they work their way into turn 3.
Yeah, great little battle going on here for that top 10 position. You see Rick Webb working underneath the 98 of TJ Bartell, who was having a great run last week. Actually, at Dover, was able to come home on the podium in P3. We didn't really talk to him at all year long, and finally got the chance to talk to him. They nearly made contact there in the center of 1 and 2, sends the 98 up the track. Tony Solari looking for a chance to pounce.
There's Solari right there trying to find a run somewhere to the bottom. He's got Webb on the bottom, Bartell up on the top. Plenty of room there given by all those drivers around one another. And somehow they work their way back to the inside of the racetrack into turn 1. Here comes Solari. He'll try to go after Bartell way up against the wall. Correction, Webb on the inside out of turn 2.
Let's take a look real quickly at your Virginia811.com race summary that we've had so far here tonight. A total of 4 cautions, 16 caution laps, and also 11 lead changes that have been a heated battle for the race lead all race long. As I say that, Bartel goes through the grass, loose off turn number 4, and has a heck of a save there, Wesley, off 4.
Well, we were talking about them, being calm, cool, collective. That didn't last for long, but what a save for the 98 Lee machine of T.J. Bartel. That Chevrolet into the infield grass, got back corrected, got Custer now behind him. He had a big wreck earlier in the race, and obviously now those guys are somehow falling back into the clutches of 16th and 17th as they mark off turn 4.
Speaking of falling off here, and if you look at the best lap time from the race so far posted by Kyle Milliken, that was a 30.585. Everybody really averaged around that 0.68 to 0.79. And when you look at that compared to the last lap time that was ran by our race leader, James Mullins, it was a 31.822, so a little over a second of fall off. So the question will be, Wesley, who will be the first to come down pit road around lap 102?
Well, part of me wants to say Mullins is going to peel off first, and I think it's going to be monkey see, monkey do if he does. But we might see some guys that are kind of like in the back of the top 10, 15th spot, whatever, still on the lead lap, but they might try to go for that undercut. And we'll just see how it all shakes out. You never know. A late race caution obviously will really change the entire scenario of this event, especially if it's during a transition to green flag pit stops too, Jason.
Yeah, and it definitely should be an interesting one here. We have seen a ton of times at Kansas Speedway, whether it be in the real life or the sim here on iRacing, that strategy can play a big factor at the end of these Kansas races. Really just in general, Wesley, any mile and a half that we go to. But the thing that these guys are probably worried about, if some of them want to go green, is a caution. You see a lot of these guys are on the edge of control, like you just saw Kyle Milliken off turn number 2, got a little loose. Blackner looked down to the inside, tucked back in line now, back to turn number 3. There's always the possibility of that caution coming out during green flag pit stops or even prior.
Mullins in the lead as we're starting to see now Michael Blackner start to climb his way into the top 10. That number 22 machine for Shock and Awe Motorsports, the Ford. Solari behind them. So is also Megalin. They work their way back down the back straightaway. Right now, Calm Cool Collective here as we approach 100.
Yeah, gap between Mullins and Chapman right now at 1.7 to 1.8. So Mullins last time around faster than Chapman by about 0.2 of a second. So you could just see that the 60 machine is putting on some blistering lap times again. Faster than him by about 1.5 to 0.2 of a second. That last time around, Wesley, I think it's safe to say that James Mullins is definitely the favorite to win here tonight.
Solari now, right now on the racetrack. You're watching him, what he's doing on the racetrack, just kind of being patient. In that 53 of Flanagan in front of him, Megalin behind him. All these guys still staying single file. Kind of the calm before the storm, obviously, Jason. I'm really predicting. I think these guys are now in that green flag long run of the race, approaching under 40 to go now, where it's time really to put yourself into position to make a run for the finish of the race. That green flag pit stop, obviously, unless we get a caution here, will definitely continue to spread out everybody around the racetrack, and it could possibly decide the outcome of the race, too.
And it definitely will. And as we wait here and for the looming green flag pit stops, we're going to step aside for a quick break for the last time this evening before they come down to the surface of pit road. Who will top James Mullins, or can he get his 6th win of the season? We're going to find out when we come back here on LSRTV. Welcome back to LSRTV's coverage of the FTSR Sim Racing Points Truck Series. Just starting pit stops here. Coming up, the 98 of TJ Bartel elected to come to pit road. Here comes Lewis Meglin. So, Wesley, the doors have pretty much opened somewhat for these guys to start coming down pit road for that undercut or overcut.
Yeah, this is exactly what we chatted about, the possibility of seeing these guys try to possibly come down to the pit lane and take advantage of the front runners. But obviously, I really believe when we see Mullins peel down, everyone else is going to be right there in unison with one another.
Here we go.
And as I say that, here comes some more guys behind the leaders, peeling on pit road. Money stop time. Milliken, Dilts, all on pit road along with Meglin.
And I think, Wesley, this is going to swing that door wide open off the hinges here in the doorway, because Kyle Milliken, remember, was running up inside that top 5 before he came to pit road. So he's going to be the first of the real, pretty much the real leaders, would you rather say, here, to come down, take advantage of these 4 fresh Goodyear Eagles. And as I say that, here comes Michael Blackner. He is it. Also, Joe Flanagan. Tony Solari follows his teammate Michael Blackner into the pits here as well. It's only a matter of moments, and time, before Mullins, Chapman, and McKinney come down pit road.
Anytime now, we're going to see them peel off for sure. Now, by the way, Mullins has a 4-second lead over second, third, fourth of Chapman, McKinney, and Johnson, who are right there nestled with one another. And here they come. Here comes these guys behind him. Oh, Johnson in trouble. He spins in front of the field.
Saves it. Oh, my goodness. What a save from the number 9 machine of Marshall Johnson. Wesley, that looked like a Ryan Blaney National Super Speedway incident there. Remember on that restart last year, 1 year ago? He was coming down. He rolled out of the brake and looked like he was going to hit the wall, and he did. But Marshall Johnson did the exact opposite, rolled out of it, got it straightened back out. That probably just saved the 9's race right there.
Sure did. Man, oh, man. And now Mullins, Chapman, 4 seconds, 7 seconds for, of course, the driver James Torrey, the third. McKinney's on pit road. Carter is in. Duranko in. Crawford in. These are drivers that we really ain't talked that much about. Right now, being patient, ready to go with under 30 to go.
And these doors are, here we go. Here comes James Mullins. I think he's going to. Yep, here he comes. Ryan Chapman comes down to the pit road. He's going to try to beat out James Mullins. But with this being said, Wesley, I think if you're Ryan Chapman at this point, you're going to need a caution, because here's the thing. You think about drivers trying to undercut. The whole point of them doing that, for folks here watching on LSRTV that don't know, when we say undercut, when you do an undercut, you are pitting before the leaders, like obviously you saw the number 9 of Marshall Johnson do, Cody McKinney. You pit before the leaders. Even though you're not the leader, your whole goal is to go out there and gain time because of those fresher tires that are about 1.5 seconds to 2 seconds difference. But with Ryan Chapman coming in, with James Mullins and not Pryor, I think he's going to need a caution if he wants to beat Mullins here tonight.
Torrey now giving up the lead while he led for a lap or so. The number 6 is in. Where will it shuffle back out right now? Time and scoring gone cattywampus on me. It's showing Mullins up in front. Chapman second. We'll see if that's official. Jason, when they come to the line here as Torrey exits off pit road, it is 30 laps to go for the finish here tonight at Kansas.
30 laps remaining, and it looks like this green flag cycle is going to go all the way through now, with James Torrey being the last one to come to pit road. James Mullins has extended that gap now to over 5 seconds over Ryan Chapman. Wesley, I think it's clear as day they're going to need a caution if they want something to give to James Mullins.
Yeah, no doubt about it, my friend. I think it's right now 5 seconds gap between McKinney and Chapman. And, yeah, definitely we've lost 7 seconds on Malicki into the leader. Blackner's 8 seconds back, and so on and so forth. Right now, the top 10 separated by 9 seconds to the leader of James Mullins. Hey, listen, it's his race to lose if he wants to double down and win 6 straight stages in a row. As we wrap up the A schedule, it is Mullins carrying the momentum train for the Full Throttle Series here tonight at Kansas.
Let's see real quick, Charles, if we can. Let's take a look here at the actual Season B schedule coming up for the Cup and the Truck Series, if we have it here. because remember, the starting race for the Season B schedule will be at Charlotte for both the Cup and the Truck Series. So here it is. This is the Cup Series schedule for 2024B. You'll have Charlotte, Gateway, Sonoma, Iowa, New Hampshire, Nashville Superspeedway, Chicagoland, and then you'll go to some of the trickiest tracks on the NASCAR circuit. The Tricky Triangle, hence the name, at Pocono. You'll go to the world-famous Indianapolis Motor Speedway on the Oval, Auto Club, Talladega, Richmond, Michigan, pretty much. I believe Lucas Oil was before there with Auto Club, obviously, for the Truck Series schedule. Should be an interesting one. And Wesley, the big thing to note about this, because the schedule really hasn't changed from last season, but the one thing that we're not really used to seeing on iRacing, with me and you calling races, is we usually call races that either have no stage breaks or two, and with the one stage break being implemented next season, should make it for an interesting Season B schedule.
So I've done some races in the past where, like, road course races, if you will, where literally the stage will be stage 1 and it's still stage green, and they go into stage 2. It doesn't transition from a caution flag, but obviously running round track and doing 2 stages instead of 3, I think, is definitely going to be something different for us. Like you said, Jason, we'll see how it all shakes out now. So we got a battle going on for second place. They can't run down the leader, but they can race themselves. That's Chapman and McKinney.
And Ryan Chapman does not want to give this position up. Remember, I mean, we came into tonight, obviously. The point gap between Chapman and Mullins was only 16 points. You think about it like that, think about it. James Mullins gained 20 points on him. So, I mean, he's pretty much right there still with Chapman. The gap is almost the same. It's narrowed down a little bit because of those 2 stage wins, but Ryan Chapman was able to pick up stage points as well. Remember, they drag raced to the line, got second in the stage. I believe Chapman actually finished second in both stages. So the gap's only narrowed down to about around 14, maybe 13 or 12 points. And the more positions Chapman loses is the more points that Mullins can gain on him, since Mullins is this leader here in the race. This is not what Chapman wants to see.
No, it's not. And obviously Mullins is licking his chops like a big guy getting a big piece of cheesecake or piece of chocolate cake for that matter, because as this battle continues to go on between Chapman and McKinney, they're going to battle it out here. Mullins says, you guys continue to do that. Let me pull away here and try to take advantage of this. And right now, with under 25 to go, 23 to go to be exact, he's trying to do just that, as we still watch Chapman and McKinney cat and mouse go back and forth here, inside, outside, and just battling for that second spot.
Nearly 4.5 seconds is the gap between Chapman and Mullins, and then obviously Chapman battling with McKinney. If there's going to be a caution, it's going to come right here, and as we say that, the 16 and 33 door each other. A little bit of miscommunication and driver error going through the tri-oval, where a lot of the time, most guys will think drivers will try to come down towards the apron, and sometimes they do not, and that was exactly what type of product that was. Great save by the 33 and the 16.
What a moment right there. That could have really changed the entire complexion of the race, but somehow, some way, we still stay green flag. 20 laps to go when they come thundering down to the line. This is it. Mullins in the lead, and the interval is now 4.5 seconds between Chapman, McKinney, Milliken, and company when they come to 20 to go. 3 wide now as it's getting antsy in the back. This is Joe Flanagan, 3 wide. Torrey starting to climb through the field as well after he led a lap during green flag pit stops. And here we go again, Jason.
Yeah, Torrey is really fast right now. He's faster than this field here by about 3 to 6/10 of a second. Right now, climbing his way up inside the top 10. He gets all the way to 8th as he works down to the bottom of Robert Milliken, and the 6th machine here of James Torrey may not be in contention for the race win or the championship, but coming into tonight, he only had 1 top 10, and it would be 2 top 10s up on the board so far this year. If this 6th machine was able to hold on to it, but by the way he's going, he might be able to get a top 5.
Across the line, everybody single file. Here we go again. Torrey, what a job for him. Going after now Williford in that 33 who had a scare a moment ago with Milliken. in the 16 ride. Now that's kind of calmed down, if you will. He's going after now Williford. He's going after Blackner, trying to climb into the top 5. He is on the inside, making a run as they work to 4.
Off turn number 4 this time. Williford brushes the wall on corner exit, still files back into that 8th position. Joe Flanagan, Robert Malikian round out your top 10 while everybody battles single file, and everybody is just trying to hold their ground, try to pick off spots as they can or if they can. In fact, you see James Torrey, though, Wesley, still trying to move up to the field. He's going to the inside here of Michael Blackner entering turn number 3. That's the battle going on for 6th off 4.
And they work their way off the corner again. It's Williford now on the outside lane. It's Mullins, Chapman, McKinney, Milliken, Johnson, top 5. And now the 33 stays to the inside of the racetrack. Coming down to the end of it, he sits in that 8th position. Everybody better make a run now. And I think fingers are crossed if you're second on back, Jason, wanting a caution flag, needing a caution flag to do something with James Mullins, the Pied Piper of the Full Throttle Series, as Season A rounds the close, is that 60 machine for Sadler Esports. James Mullins coming to the line with 15 to go.
It has been such an amazing season for James Mullins this season so far. You look at the stats again, only 10 starts compared to the 11 races ran coming into tonight. He's got 4 poles, 5 race wins, 8 stage wins. You can make that 10 now as he picked up stage wins 1 and 2, 6 top 5s, 6 top 10s. Every time he's finished in the top 5, or every time he's finished in the top 10, it has resulted in a top 5 finish. And coming into tonight, he has led 571 laps. That is over 300 laps led from the guy who has the second most laps led, and that's Cody McKinney with 245. And with Mullins leading here tonight, he is going to extend that even more. Hopefully, he's just hoping that for the next 14 laps, everybody can stay clean and green. But, I mean, Wesley, what a season so far for the driver of the 60.
And I'll be honest with you, Jason, as we close into the finish of this race as well, I think it's made me and you out to be a liar. I don't want to say that it's not been exciting, but definitely the fireworks that I think we thought we were going to see in stage number 3 has just not materialized. I mean, we're seeing sheer domination by the driver of Mullins. Anybody that's tried to come up and make any moves of ascent to try to get around Mullins, he'll back away. He'll let him have it. Look at what happened in stage 2. He let those guys battle it out, duke it out. But at the end of that second stage, he started to climb right back and show his strengths again. You heard him say at the end of stage 1, Jason, as he comes to a dozen laps to go here in Kansas, I really haven't unveiled how much strength I have in this truck right now. I'm saving that for stage 3. Boy, did he prove us right.
Yeah, and you could honestly, Wesley, probably take that with a little bit of cockiness out of the 16 machine, and you don't really see that in drivers these days. It's not something that's kind of that really respectable driver etiquette, but when you have that confidence that James Mullins does, it goes a long way. You can either go in way over your head and end up wrecking the thing, or you could be like James Mullins and just put your money where your mouth is, and you can absolutely drive away from this field. That is exactly what he's done here tonight. But again, still something can happen. Coming to 11 to go right now as it hits up on the scoring pylon. Still anything can happen. Those fireworks, the big grand finale that we all thought we would see, is still a possibility looming out there at Kansas.
Anything can happen with all these guys racing in the back for their positions, obviously, and they want to try to climb up the scoring pylon as much as they can. Like Torrey. What a job for the 6. He made that pit after leading. He now is working the top 5. Just got around Johnson, Blackner, and he's going to go down for 2 for 1 as Blackner is now under attack, and so is Milliken by Torrey in 3 and 4.
James Torrey looking for that first top 5 of the night, and imagine if he was to do it here in Kansas after a great run up to the front, up 19 spots right now. He battles down to the inside of Milliken entering turn 1. Michael Blackner, the same could be said for him. Coming into tonight, 10th in the points. No way he's going to win Season A, but he only had 1 top 5 up on the board and 6 top 10s coming into tonight. Michael Blackner wants that second top 5 of the year. James Torrey wants that first top 5 of the year. Oh, and Milliken loose out of turn number 4. Almost calamity, striking back to the line this time.
Crossover move, and somehow they worked it perfectly down to the corner. They work their way back into 1 and 2 now. Single digits on the board. It's Milliken now up high. Blackner to the bottom. Johnson will power through as well to the inside. Williford licking his chops. Will he go high? Will he go low? He can't decide. And now Johnson dives to the bottom as they work into 3.
Johnson goes to the bottom of Michael Blackner, this time entering 3 and 4 off the corner. Milliken will rip up the top side to try to keep himself in front of them. Back to the tri-oval, this time by UC Sherwood. Williford trying to make his way further up inside the top 5. Doing that, he'll work to the outside now behind Blackner exiting turn 2.
And Blackner now up on the top of the Best Buy entry. It's now Williford right there behind him. Johnson now mired back. A little action here in the late rally of the race as we move into the end of this deal here now at 8 and make it 7 to go. Milliken stays to the inside. They can't run him down. They'll now climb the barriers of the outside lane as they work off 4.
7 laps remaining here from the Heartland in Kansas City, Kansas, at the Kansas Speedway. Lots of Kansas names being mentioned here tonight, and a lot of drivers still in contention to pick up more spots. Williford throws a crossover move, and the 22 pulls that crossover move. He'll go down to the bottom. Michael Blackner looking to the inside of Williford, heading into turn number 3. He'll try the slide job. Definitely not going to be clear. Williford will power back up high with the power being put down, and Marshall Johnson looking for a way around them. This is the battle for 6.
Another big save a moment ago down to the inside. Here comes now that Blackner machine under attack by Johnson on the outside lane. This is going on behind the top 10. Top 5 still remain the same. Mullins has opened that lead to about 5 seconds on Chapman and McKinney. Meanwhile, Williford now battles alongside with that driver. A battle of Williford, Milliken in the 88. That's a lap machine in the way of Rhodes as they work off 3 and 4.
Yeah, obviously John Rhodes has been pretty much multiple laps down all night long. Was involved, I believe, in one of those incidents. He's 5 laps down in 22nd, just trying to nurse the thing home in the 88 machine. Michael Blackner will ride right behind him this time, exiting turn number 2, while Johnson and Williford trying to go run down Kyle Milliken, who holds that final spot inside the top 5, being in 5th here. This time by, though, 4 laps remaining up on the board now. Mullins hits the line. He's got a 5.5 second gap over the 27. And again, though, Wesley, we cannot say enough about this 60 machine. He has done everything that he has needed to do here tonight to close that points battle on Ryan Chapman. The only thing he hasn't done that he has no control of is Ryan Chapman having a bad night because he's still in 2nd.
Go time here, obviously, at the end of this race. Will we see a late race caution? Will we not see a late race caution? Mullins is picking him up and putting him down. There he is right now, working off the corner, coming down the back straightaway. Open up 5.5 seconds now. It is his race to lose. 6 straight stages wins. 2 victories in a row as he is the man, obviously, carrying the momentum to close Season A of the Full Throttle Sim Racing Points Truck Series.
Oh, and we got a little incident up here in front of the leaders. Alan Duranco, I believe, just got up into the wall there with the 66 of Chris Custer. They keep it straight, though. 2 laps remaining here, coming to a lap and a half. And now Cody McKinney, though, Wesley, has worked his way up into the 2nd spot. Ryan Chapman doesn't want to lose that.
All this going on as they work the back straightaway. That battle continues here between McKinney and Chapman. Nothing wrong with Silver. They'll battle it out. Meanwhile, here comes the leader, Mullins, looking for the CRN. 1 to go here at Kansas.
1 lap remaining. 1 lap to go, presented by CRN at wearecrn.com. And James Mullins, again, has done everything that he has needed to do here tonight. 1 week ago at Dover, he absolutely dominated by leading 141 laps, picked up his 5th win of the season. Who knew he was going to come into Kansas and run it back and do it all over again? But off turn number 4, he'll make it 2 in a row. 6th win of the season. James Mullins closes the points gap a little bit more and wins here at Kansas.
What a phenomenal job. Win number 6 of the year. 6 straight stages dominated by the number 60 machine here at Kansas. A lot of sixes in that sentence. And, man, the momentum train going for that driver of James Mullins. We might need to get him down to virtual NASCAR Tech. We got to check the truck out. What do you think?
Oh, I see a lug nut missing on that number 60 machine. That's going to be a fine, probably. Just all kidding. But obviously, what a drive by this number 60 machine of James Mullins tonight. Again, like I had mentioned on the white flag, did everything he needed to do today. The only thing he didn't have control of was Ryan Chapman having a bad night. Oh, and by the way, Ryan Chapman, I believe, was able to get that second place finish. So that one spot might make all the difference heading into Darlington and coming towards the finish to that race. But let's take a look here at the LiveSimRacingTV.com unofficial results here tonight from Kansas, while James Mullins birds it down. Obviously picks up his 6th win of the season. Chapman, the points leader. It's going to be a good one going into Darlington next week between those two. They finished top 2. Cody McKinney finishing P3. James Torrey, first top 5 of the year. He'll come home 4th. Kyle Milliken, great run in 5th. Williford, Johnson, Blackner, Joe Flanagan, Tony Solari, all names we're not used to seeing up here in the top 10, Wesley, but they finished there.
There you go. Robert Malikian will settle for 11th. Bartel back to 12th. Rick Webb, 13th. Justin Diltz, 14th. Lewis Meglin, the top 15. Alan Duranco, quiet night for him. He's the last truck on the lead lap in 16th. These drivers a lap down or more. Obviously, Chris Custer a lap down. Wayne Grassi, both involved in accidents earlier. Cole Crawford is 2 laps down, and Jake Allier obviously never recapped from his accident where he wrecked earlier in stage 1 on 20th spot.
So the field down to 28th, you'll find J.P. Burns, John Rhodes, Brian Bliss, Ben Tracy after a great night of a what could have been moment for him. 24th, Anthony Cozy, Joey McKinney, Joey Flanagan in 27th. Last but not least, we got to talk to him, man, so I guess it's a win for him. Brody Hanna will come home 28th after not making a lap here tonight. We're going to wrangle up the top 3, me and Wesley will, and we'll see you all down in post-race interviews. We'll be right back after this. Welcome back to LSRTV's coverage here for post-race coverage, rather, of the FTSR Sim Racing Points Truck Series. Where me and Wesley and Charles have wrangled up the top 3. We're getting ready to talk to him. We'll step aside to Cody McKinney. Coming home P3, man. Cody, great run for you guys all night. I know it's not what you probably wanted, but still a great run here at Kansas.
Yeah, appreciate it.
Yeah, and obviously coming into tonight, you know, you look at the points battle going on between James Mullins and Ryan Chapman. You still have a solid shot going into Darlington, man. What do you feel like about that race going in there next week?
Feel a lot better going into Darlington than here at Kansas.
I'll tell you what. No, go ahead. I'm sorry.
Go ahead. I just don't like how, like these mile and a half that try to race like super speedways almost. Like the draft is, I don't like it personally. So just going back to a track like Darlington where it's a driver's track, I'm looking forward to it.
I'll tell you what, man, obviously, you know, you kind of hinted on that. You were kind of battling amongst your battle for second there with Chapman at the end. I mean, what do you take from this race to obviously do differently with going to Darlington next week?
It just goes back to preparing. This week you kind of needed to prepare and practice with a group so you get a good feel on what truck's going to do in a group setting. I mean, you can run solo runs, test runs by yourself for Kansas, but once you get into the race, you're almost kind of still going in there blind, because once you get around a whole group of trucks, it can act completely different. So just going in Darlington, you a lot more time to test, because you can test by yourself. So that'll go a lot into next week.
All right, Cody. Well, that being said, man, coming home P3 tonight, who do you got to thank for that great run in that number 28 machine?
Digital race engineer, sim racing coach, Brian Kennels, Premier Racing Setups, Alpha Gear Racing, all the work that they've done. Everybody at FTSR, sorry, it's been a long day. All the work that they do behind the scenes, putting the whole league together. James, Ryan for racing very clean. I know things can get a little crazy battling like that early, but it's always fun racing them. You guys for putting on the broadcast week in, week out, and everyone that tunes in every week to watch us put on a show.
There you go. There's Cody McKinney driving the number 28, coming home P3 tonight. Now we'll step aside to Ryan Chapman. And Ryan, man, what else can you say, man? It kind of just slipped away from you there. But hey, still P2. I know the points gap isn't going to be as probably large as it would have been had you finished deeper in the field. So it's got to be at least a little bit of a good feeling for you heading into Darlington next week.
Yeah, it was overall a good race. I'm happy with what I wanted to do when I came in here. I wanted to just keep James in my sights, keep Cody in my sights, and just finish either ahead of them or close to them. And that was kind of what I was intending on going into here. So we accomplished that, and now our focus turns to Darlington to try to seal this thing up.
What do you do differently going into Darlington? Obviously, I know the answer would probably you want to win, Ryan, but what do you change from tonight's race and the races you've done in the past to try to give a last-ditch effort to go after James for the finish of the Season A schedule?
Just got to be better than him that day. Got to put in the work and try to be better than him. That's all I can do. I mean, unless one of us gets in a catastrophic wreck, it's going to be about who comes more prepared and who comes ready to race.
Well, there you go, Ryan. We'll let you go here, man. But before we do that, who do you got to thank for that awesome P2 run tonight in the 27 machine?
Got to thank Elliott Sadler Esports for the set and just for all they do and helping me grow as a driver and helping me figure out some problems that we were having with causing more tire wear, and seemed to help a lot tonight because it was amazing. Elevated Esports too, just for everything they've done for me getting up to this point. And all of our sponsors, Martin Sports, Nerditudes, Victory Fuel, Elevated Outdoors, and everyone else that helps us out, and my dad for watching, my mom for watching, and then letting me do this as much as I do. But again, also you guys and FTSR for putting this on.
Well, there you go. There's Ryan Chapman coming home P2 tonight. Still will more than likely be the points leader coming out of Kansas here tonight, heading into the finale race of 2024A at Darlington. And now we'll step over to Victory Lane here, presented by Victory Fuel. Remember, if you go to drinkvictory.com, you can use code KOI19 at checkout to save 10% off your purchase. And James Mullins, man, 6th win of the season. You did everything you needed to do coming into here tonight. How does it feel to know that you just won 2 races in a row and you have a shot for that championship next week at the Lady in Black?
It feels real good. I mean, to be honest with you, last week I kind of got a kick in the ass and realized I really need to get up on the wheel a little bit even harder than what I was earlier in the season. So it's a little bit more motivated from last week to this week. Just some stuff going on behind the scenes. As but it was just a good race. Had a lot of fun. Had fun racing Cody and Ryan. Like I said, it's always real clean. I mean, I can pinch them boys and they can pinch me and we can race tight. It's just a lot of fun. It was a blast.
I'm sorry, James, I had to mute my mic, joking laughingly, manically in the background because what you just said, man, it just seems like, you know, you said you really haven't showed all your strengths yet, but dude, man, you're literally dominating here as we close the end of the A schedule. What more do you do differently here that's not just working like you've already done in 2 straight weeks?
Well, Cody kind of hit the nail on the head there. When you got to prepare. I mean, if you, I've been building setups a long time, and
are you not preparing every week?
Well, I mean, I really prepared last week and this week for a reason. So a lot harder than what I have earlier in the season. Because I mean, at the end of the day, I like to come out here and have fun, but I mean, it's just stuff behind the scenes.
Yeah, well, James, man, great win for you here tonight. You're going to have a shot next week at that championship at Darlington. But with that being said, man, before we let you go, who do you got to thank for 2 wins in a row and your 6th win up on the year?
Well, I got to thank everybody over at Elliott Sadler Esports. I mean, we've been crushing it over there in the B car and the A car. You got Jared Carr, you got Jimmy Norman. We got a bunch of real good guys over there. Brendan Kohler. I mean, we got some fast guys. We added Ryan and a couple more guys. So, I mean, it's all hands on deck, especially, the last month. Like, we've added some people, and it's gotten a lot better. And I want to thank you guys for doing the broadcast. You guys do an amazing job. FTSR, I mean, it's an amazing league. That's what a great 2 races in a row. No cautions in the last stage. I mean, it's fabulous racing. I got to thank Sean Selvage, my boss. He's on vacation right now. Give him a shout out. I hope he's having a blast. My wife and my kids, Tanya Mullins and Kendall Morgancoat. I love you guys. And Ryan better be ready because I'm on his ass next week.
How about that? There we go. We're going to have a duel at the Lady in Black next week between James Mullins, Ryan Chapman, and Cody McKinney, who is still in arm's length distance for that championship. Wesley, what a show we had here tonight, man, and it's going to come down to 1 race for this 2024 A season.
1 race, 3 drivers, and it's not for the Piston Cup. It's for the A schedule of the Full Throttle Truck Series. And, man, I can't wait to see what happens here at Darlington next Wednesday night. Strap in. It's going to be a good one.
And it is definitely going to be a good one for sure. And that's going to come to a conclusion for tonight's broadcast here on LSRTV. For everybody a part of LSRTV, Charles Wooten, Jeff Stabnow, Wesley Outland up here in the booth. Obviously, FTSR with Brody Han on all them. Victory Fuel for coming on board as well. We say so long from the Heartland, and we'll see you next week at the Lady in Black in Darlington, where 3 drivers will have a chance for a championship. I'm Jason Rockefeller saying so long from Kansas. We'll see you next week from the Lady in Black.